Here's a question that should keep you up at night. What happens when a god who doesn't argue walks into a universe where gods do nothing but argue? Today we're exploring the most terrifying crossover scenario you've never considered. Not a fight, not a battle, an extinction event disguised as curiosity. Because when Zeno, the Omni King, the child god who erased 6 universes out of boredom, steps into Marvel's infinite complexity, he's not arriving as a villain, he's arriving as an editor. And editors, they simplify. So buckle up, because you're about to watch the most powerful universe in fiction learn what it feels like when the delete button gains consciousness. Let's dive in. Picture this, the nexus of all realities. That swamp where every dimension touches, where Man-Thing stands guard over infinite doorways to infinite worlds. It's Marvel's grand central station for the multiverse, chaotic, ancient, and absolutely critical to how reality functions. Now, on this particular day, something unprecedented happens. The swamp goes completely silent. No insects, no birds, even the rot stops rotting. Reality itself is holding its breath because it's detected something that doesn't compute, doesn't fit the database, doesn't match any known classification in Marvel's cosmic registry. And then, floating above the stagnant water, a small figure appears. He's tiny, child-sized, round face with a permanent innocent smile, blue and purple robes that look almost ceremonial. This is Zeno, the Omni King from Dragon Ball. And before you ask, no, this isn't about who's stronger. This is about something far more disturbing. See, in Zeno's home universe, he's erased entire timelines because a tournament entertained him. Gods literally bow when he enters a room. Angels, beings who casually sneeze away planets, serve him tea and call him my lord, and he's just wandered into Marvel's multi-verse with the same energy a toddler wanders into a library. No malice, no master plan, just curiosity. And that curiosity is about to cost Marvel everything. Now here's where things get interesting. The first beings to notice aren't heroes or villains. They're the Watchers. You know them. Uatu and his cosmic siblings, the observers who've sworn an oath to witness everything across all realities without ever interfering. These beings have watched galaxies birth and die. They've seen Galactus devour worlds, Phoenix forces remake existence, reality wars that shattered timelines. Nothing surprises them, nothing makes them flinch, but when they turn their eternal, all-seeing gaze toward Zeno and the Nexus, something unprecedented happens. One by one, across infinite vantage points, the Watchers close their eyes. They look away, not in fear, in recognition. Because some things shouldn't be observed, some things you don't want to remember. And if this being decides that memory is optional, even Watchers won't recall what they witnessed. That's your first clue that Marvel is in trouble. It doesn't understand yet. So what happens next? Well, Marvel's cosmic immune system activates like it's detected a virus. Alarms that don't make sound ripple through every dimension simultaneously. The living tribunal, that three-faced golden judge who maintains multiversal balance, stirs from its position outside reality. Eternity, the literal embodiment of all time and space, feels the disturbance in every atom of his infinite body. Death herself pauses mid-collection, letting a soul slip through her fingers as she turns toward this anomaly. The Celestials, those mile-high space gods who judge entire civilizations, convene in the darkness between galaxies. Every major cosmic power in Marvel knows something is wrong, something that doesn't fit their categories, doesn't match their threat assessment protocols. The system is trying to process Zeno the way antivirus software tries to process malware, scanning, categorizing, preparing countermeasures, completely missing the point that Zeno isn't a virus. He's the user who can delete the entire operating system without realizing it matters. And here's what makes this terrifying. Zeno doesn't notice any of it. He's just floating there in the Nexus, looking around at the infinite doorways with genuine wonder. He starts counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, gets to about 20, loses track, starts over, gets bored, stops counting. Then he notices a specific doorway, the portal to the dark dimension, Dormammu's realm of eternal flame and cosmic suffering. Zeno tilts his head, watching the fire dance beyond the threshold. "Pretty colors," he says to absolutely no one, his voice high and childlike. He reaches toward it, not threateningly, just curious the way a kid reaches for something shiny. And on the other side of that portal, Dormammu, ancient evil, reality-bending demon, the entity who's battled Doctor Strange across centuries, feels Zeno's attention land on his dimension and immediately seals every entrance, not strategically, instinctively, the way your hand jerks back from a hot stove before your brain registers pain. Watch what happens to the dimensional fabric around Zeno. The Nexus itself, this place that's held stable for eons, starts developing small tears in reality. Not from damage, from accommodation. Marvel's physics engine is struggling to run a program it was never designed to handle. And here's the detail that should make your skin crawl. The Infinity Stones react. All of them, simultaneously. Across the entire multiverse, every version of the Time Stone, Space Stone, Reality Stone, all 6 fundamental forces crystallized into gems. They all flicker, not dimming, glitching, like pixels corrupting in a broken image. Thanos, wherever he is in whatever timeline he currently occupies, looks down at the Infinity Gauntlet on his hand and feels it grow cold for the first time since he assembled it. These stones let him rewrite existence with a snap. They've remade the universe, and now they feel like jewelry, pretty rocks that used to mean something but maybe don't anymore. So let me paint you the full picture of what's happening here. Zeno is sitting in the Nexus, legs dangling in empty air, chin resting in his hands, looking disappointed. Lots of doors, he mumbles quietly, but nobody's playing. He looks like a kid in the world's most complicated toy store, where every toy has a 50-page instruction manual. Too many buttons, too many rules, too much explaining required. And as he sits there pouting slightly, Marvel's infinite cosmic hierarchy is mobilizing above him, preparing responses, calculating strategies, completely unaware that they're not dealing with an invasion. They're dealing with an audit, an editorial review. Because Zeno just looked at Marvel's infinite complexity, all those cosmic hierarchies, abstract entities, multiversal structures, and carefully balanced power systems, and thought one simple, devastating thought: this could be simpler. And when an editor thinks that, the writers start sweating, even if the writer happens to be God. If you want to see what happens when cosmic law meets someone who doesn't acknowledge laws exist, when infinite complexity meets absolute simplicity, when Marvel's entire power structure gets a performance review from someone with deletion privileges, you're in exactly the right place. Hit that subscribe button, because this is going to get philosophical, existential, and deeply unsettling. We're about to watch gods learn what it feels like to be optional. Let's see who survives the editorial process. Now watch what happens when cosmic law itself tries to solve the Zeno problem. The living tribunal materializes in the Nexus with the kind of entrance that makes galaxies bow. This isn't some minor cosmic entity. This is the multiversal judge, the supreme arbiter of Marvel's infinite realities. 3 golden faces rotate on a body that exists in 17 dimensions at once. Equity burns with cold mathematical logic. Vengeance seethes with absolute justice. Necessity hums with cosmic inevitability. Together, they've stopped infinity gauntlets mid-snap, prevented universal collapses, and maintained balance when mad gods threaten to break everything. The tribunal doesn't negotiate or compromise, it adjudicates. And it has arrived to do what it always does: categorize this anomaly, integrate it into the cosmic order, or eliminate it entirely. This is the moment where the system should prove it can handle anything, should being the key word here. Here's what makes the tribunal terrifying. When it speaks, it doesn't use one voice. It uses 3 simultaneously, creating this dissonant harmonic that sounds like reality itself is passing judgment on you. Listen to how it addresses Zeno. Equity, unclassified entity, jurisdictional origin, external, multiversal impact coefficient, catastrophic. Vengeance, violation detected, unauthorized dimensional breach, cosmic law disruption, penalty assessment, immediate. Necessity, balance threatened, hierarchy destabilized, corrective action, mandatory, compliance, non-negotiable. Pay attention to the language here. It's not talking to Zeno. It's processing him like a computer running diagnostics. No emotion, no personality, just pure cosmic law converting an anomaly into legal terminology so it can be dealt with according to protocol. The three voices layer over each other, each syllable carrying the weight of eons, laws literally written into existence itself. The tribunal raises its staff, golden energy condensing into pure judgment, and reality starts bending around the verdict like space-time warping near a black hole. This is absolute authority manifesting, the kind of power that has never failed, until today. Because Zeno looks up at this massive floating golden head and asks the simplest question imaginable. Who made you the boss? And just like that, everything breaks. No malice in his voice, no challenge or defiance, just genuine childlike curiosity. He actually wants to know. The tribunal's three faces freeze mid-rotation like a computer that just tried to divide by zero. The overlapping voices stutter, creating feedback that ripples through dimensions. See, here's the thing. The tribunal's authority comes from the one above all. It's delegated power, granted from the supreme being down through the cosmic hierarchy. The tribunal is legitimate because TOAA legitimizes it. But what happens when someone doesn't recognize that chain of command? Not rebelling against it, just not acknowledging it exists in the first place? You can't explain jurisdiction to someone who doesn't believe in borders. Watch the tribunal try to recover. Its three faces rotate faster, searching databases of cosmic law for a precedent that covers this scenario. Equity. Authority derives from vengeance. Cosmic law pre-exists. Necessity. You must comply because, and Zeno just tilts his head further, looking more confused. But I don't want to. 4 words. That's all it takes. Not angry, not rebellious, just stating preference the same way a kid refuses to eat vegetables. Simple, final, non-negotiable. The tribunal's golden form starts flickering like a bad hologram because in all its infinite existence, across all the eons it served as multiversal judge, it has never encountered a being that simply opts out of cosmic law, that treats jurisdiction like a suggestion. The judgment energy it gathered, enough power to restructure entire realities, just wavers there, uncertain where to direct itself when the target doesn't acknowledge being a target. But the tribunal doesn't give up. It can't. Giving up would mean cosmic law is optional, and if cosmic law is optional, what's the tribunal's purpose? So it executes judgment anyway. Golden energy crashes down like every law in Marvel's arsenal being weaponized simultaneously. The light engulfs Zeno completely, reality folding around him, multiversal authority bearing down with infinite weight. And for one magnificent second, one beautiful, hopeful second, it looks like it's working. The anomaly is contained, balance is being restored, cosmic order is reasserting itself. Then Zeno shrugs, and here's where you need to pay very close attention to what happens next, because this is the moment everything changes. The living tribunal stumbles backward, which should be impossible for a being that exists outside normal space. Its three faces flicker between expressions: confusion, rage, something that might actually be panic. And then they start going dark. Equity fades first, becoming translucent, because fairness requires both parties to agree on standards, and Zeno doesn't agree. Vengeance follows, dimming like a dying star, because you can't punish someone for breaking laws they never acknowledged. Necessity holds on longest, desperately trying to assert that cosmic balance demands enforcement, that the multiverse requires the tribunal to function. But even necessity goes dark eventually, forced to accept the most terrible truth. Necessity is only necessary if someone agrees it's necessary. And Zeno? He doesn't agree. Now here's what's truly horrifying. The tribunal doesn't die. Death would almost be mercy at this point. Instead, it remains, diminished beyond recognition. Its voice is reduced to static whispers. It's still technically the multiversal judge, but judge of what exactly? Enforcer of which laws? Its golden form retreats into the space between spaces, and you can almost feel it trying to process what just happened. Trying to understand how cosmic law, the fundamental framework that governs all existence, just became optional. Meanwhile, a portal opens next to Zeno. The air distorts with power that makes the tribunal's display look like a flashlight next to the sun, and from it steps a tall figure in white and gold robes, serene and elegant, carrying a staff that hums with barely contained omnipotence. The Grand Priest, Zeno's attendant, his babysitter, and if you thought Zeno was the problem, wait until you understand what the help is capable of. The Grand Priest floats to Zeno's side with perfect grace, his expression calm and gentle, almost angelic, but his eyes, yes, hold the kind of cosmic weight that makes abstract entities bow reflexively without understanding why. He doesn't look at the diminished tribunal, doesn't acknowledge the glitching reality around them. He just speaks to Zeno with a voice like silk draped over steel. "Omni King, you wandered quite far from the viewing platform. Are you enjoying your exploration?" The tone is perfectly polite, patient, the way a nanny asks if a child is having fun at the playground. Zero acknowledgement that Marvel's supreme cosmic judge just failed catastrophically. No hint that reality itself is corrupting around them. Just polite attendance to a superior being. And Zeno lights up, nodding enthusiastically. "Lots of rooms, but they all have too many rules. Boring." The Grand Priest smiles. "Shall we simplify things then?" It's phrased as a question, but every cosmic entity watching understands it's a statement of intent. And that's when things go from bad to absolutely catastrophic. So here's where things escalate from concerning to absolutely nightmarish. A celestial appears in the Nexus. Not just any celestial, but Arishem the Judge, the prime celestial himself. We're talking about a being that's literally thousands of feet tall, radiating power cosmic, a space god who judges entire civilizations and decides if they're worthy of existence. Next to him materializes the Silver Surfer on his board, Herald of Galactus, scout and information gatherer, moving at speeds that make light look slow. These aren't street-level heroes trying their luck. This is Marvel's cosmic heavy artillery responding to a Class Omega threat. And watch what happens when they try to do their jobs. Because this is the moment Marvel learns that even cosmic power has an off switch. The Surfer moves first. He's crossed galaxies in seconds, outrun black holes, speed-blitzed entities that exist outside normal time. His strategy is simple. Grab Zeno, create distance, buy time for analysis. He launches himself forward, board glowing with power cosmic, his form becoming pure energy as velocity approaches light speed. In combat, the Surfer is effectively untouchable during transit. You can't hit what you can't catch. He reaches Zeno in a fraction of a nanosecond, hands extending to grab him, and the Grand Priest raises one finger, just one. Doesn't move from his position, doesn't shift his stance, just lifts a single finger and presses it gently against the Surfer's forehead. And the Silver Surfer stops, not slowed down, not blocked by a barrier. Completely frozen mid-flight, held in place by a single finger pressed to his forehead like someone hitting pause on a video. His board hovers uselessly beneath him, the power cosmic that's moved planets and cracked moons just flickering out against whatever force the Grand Priest represents. The Surfer strains, pushing with everything he has, channeling energy that should shatter this grip. The Grand Priest doesn't increase pressure, doesn't exert more effort. His expression remains serene, patient, almost apologetic as he speaks. "Please do not disturb the Omni King while he is observing. It is quite rude." His voice carries zero threat, zero anger, just polite correction, the way you might ask someone to lower their voice in a library. He releases the Surfer, who stumbles backward onto his board gasping, and the realization hits him like a freight train. This isn't even the threat. This is the babysitter. And if the babysitter is this powerful, what does that make the child? Now watch Arishem try his approach. The Celestial Prime extends his cosmic senses to scan Zeno, energy washing over the small figure, with analysis algorithms that can categorize dying stars and nascent gods. The scan completes, returns data, and the data makes absolutely no sense. Zeno isn't complex. He's not hiding anything or masking his power signature. There's just nothing to analyze. No cosmic energy matrix, no reality manipulation field, no divine essence or metaphysical structure, just absolute authority wearing a smile. Arishem recalculates, runs the scan again thinking there must be an error. Same result. This eternal intelligence that's judged countless civilizations across billions of years literally cannot process what category Zeno fits into. And in that moment of cosmic confusion, Zeno looks up at the mile-high celestial towering over him and waves cheerfully. "Hi, you're really big!" And then, the remaining celestials in formation don't move, don't retreat. They stand there processing an impossibility their eternal minds can't categorize. One of their number isn't dead. Death leaves traces, energy dispersal, echoes in the universal consciousness. Their brother is just gone, erased so completely that reality is already rewriting around the absence, closing the gap in the cosmic record, forgetting to miss him. And Zeno looks at the other celestials, starts counting them on his fingers. 1, 2, 3. He pauses, looks genuinely confused. Why are there so many of you? It's an innocent question, purely curious, and absolutely terrifying because it's the question an editor asks when they see redundant characters cluttering up a draft. But here's where things get really interesting. The Phoenix Force ignites across the cosmos, drawn by all this cosmic disturbance like a moth to flame. Now, if you don't know, the Phoenix is destruction and rebirth incarnate, the immortal fire that has consumed galaxies and remade them stronger. It's hosted gods and mortals, burned through celestials, survived the end of entire universes only to create new ones from the ashes. The Phoenix cannot be killed because it is renewal itself, the concept made manifest. When something ends, it ensures something new begins. That's not just power, that's fundamental cosmic law written in fire. So the Phoenix approaches not with hostility, but with recognition, sensing in Zeno something equally fundamental, equally absolute. Maybe they can coexist. Maybe they can find harmony. The cosmic fire extends its consciousness towards Zeno, flames spreading across dimensions, preparing to touch minds in greeting, and the Phoenix reaches Zeno's consciousness, ready to merge awareness with awareness, to share the eternal flame's infinite wisdom and experience. And the Phoenix Force recoils so violently that flames sputter and die across light years of space. It didn't encounter hostility or a mental defense. It found nothing, not emptiness, nothing. No consciousness to merge with, no essence to understand, no complexity to explore or connect with. Just a void of absolute authority that doesn't need thought, intention, or essence to exist. The Phoenix is infinite fire, infinite renewal, infinite complexity of death and rebirth cycling eternally. Zeno is just is. The contrast breaks something in the Phoenix's eternal mind. It has burned through every concept in existence, merged with fundamental forces, become one with creation and destruction themselves. But it cannot become one with what refuses to have components. The Phoenix Force felt not ping, not emptiness, nothing. An infinite psychic entity couldn't find a mind to touch. Why? What is Zeno? Drop your theories in the comments below. And here's what should terrify you. Zeno barely notices. He watches the cosmic fire retreat, tracking it with mild interest. "Pretty bird," he says, watching the flames pull back across galaxies. Then his expression shifts slightly. Too loud, though. Annoying. That word, annoying, ripples through the Phoenix Force like poison in veins. This entity that has never known fear, never understood hesitation, pulls back to the farthest edges of observable reality. Not fleeing, the concept is beneath it, but withdrawing, recognizing with ancient wisdom that some things should not be touched. Some questions should not be asked. The fire dims across 1,000 galaxies simultaneously. Jean Grey, wherever she is in whatever timeline, gasps as the Phoenix whispers a warning through their bond. Do not engage. Do not observe. Do not acknowledge. Then the connection goes cold for the first time in her entire life, leaving her shivering in sudden psychic silence. Now watch this next part because it gets even worse. Lord Chaos and Master Order manifest before Zeno, their forms swirling with the fundamental forces they represent. For eons, they've maintained cosmic balance through eternal opposition, chaos bringing change and entropy, order bringing structure and law. They are the dialectic engine that powers reality's function. They think they've figured out the pattern here. Zeno must represent ultimate order, absolute authority without deviation, or maybe ultimate chaos, random destruction without pattern. If they can categorize him as one or the other, they can counter him with his opposite, restore balance through opposition. They prepare their arguments, ready to explain why duality is necessary, why existence requires their eternal conflict. And Zeno looks at both of them, head tilting. Why are there two of you? Not philosophical, practical. He genuinely doesn't understand why there are two when one would be simpler, so he simplifies. The in-betweener feels it like a knife through his essence. He exists as the synthesis of all cosmic dualities, the living bridge between opposing forces. When chaos and order become one entity, his purpose, mediating their eternal conflict, ceases to exist, but he doesn't disappear. That would be merciful. Instead, he remains fully aware, fully conscious, a function without a formula to solve, a mediator with nothing to mediate between. He floats in space, arms outstretched, mouth open in a silent scream that will last forever, experiencing what no cosmic abstract has ever felt, complete existential obsolescence, not defeated, not even diminished, just unnecessary, and he will stay unnecessary for all eternity, fully aware of his purposelessness every single moment. And then, a second portal opens. Reality folds differently this time, sharper and more angular, like existence being creased rather than opened. Another small figure steps through, identical to Zeno, but wearing slightly different robes. Future Zeno. In Dragon Ball, this version erased an entire timeline's multiverse and survived into the present. Now, there are two Omni-Kings standing in Marvel's Nexus. Present Zeno waves, excitedly at his counterpart. This place has lots of rooms. Future Zeno examines a portal to the negative zone, frowns. Too dark, boring rooms. Then both of them turn to look at the glitching Celestials, the traumatized Phoenix Force, the obsolete in-betweener, and speak in perfect unison, their voices overlapping in childlike harmony. Should we keep looking, or clean up? The Grand Priest observes both Omni-Kings with serene patience, ready to facilitate whatever they decide, because that's what attendants do. They enable, and Marvel just went from barely surviving one reality editing child to dealing with two who are starting to get bored with sightseeing. Alright, let's talk about the Infinity Stones, because this is where Marvel's entire power system learns a lesson it really didn't want to learn. For those who need a refresher, these 6 gems, space, time, reality, power, mind, and soul, are the fundamental forces of existence crystallized into holdable form. Together, they let you rewrite the universe. Separately, they grant godhood. Thanos used them to erase half of all life with a literal snap. Ultron shattered the multiverse wielding them. They are, by every metric Marvel has, the pinnacle of cosmic authority. The ultimate trump card. The I win button of reality manipulation. And right now, standing before Zeno, they're about to become the most expensive marbles in existence. Watch what happens when absolute power meets someone who doesn't acknowledge the concept of power. Doctor Strange makes the first attempt. He's standing in the Sanctum Sanctorum, the Eye of Agamotto glowing green on his chest, the Time Stone pulsing with familiar energy. Strange has used this stone to trap Dormammu in eternal recursion, view 14 million futures, and undo planetary destruction. Time manipulation is his specialty. He's literally rewound the destruction of Hong Kong, created time loops that defeated beings who exist outside linear time. So he reaches out with the stone's power, attempting to rewind Zeno's arrival, to create a timeline branch where this never happened, to undo this entire nightmare before it begins. The green energy flows perfectly, reality begins to shift backward, and then it just stops. Not blocked by superior force, not countered by opposing time manipulation. The energy becomes inert, like electricity flowing into a perfect void. Strange tries again, pouring more power into the attempt, drawing on reserves that could age galaxies or reverse entropy itself. The Time Stone burns brighter, hotter, channeling enough temporal energy to rewrite cosmic history. And nothing happens. Because here's what Strange is learning the hard way. Time is a concept. It requires acknowledgement. It needs participants to agree they're moving through it. Zeno hasn't acknowledged time since he arrived in Marvel. To him, there's just now, and only if he permits it. You can't rewind someone who doesn't believe in rewind. Strange stares at the Eye of Agamotto, this artifact that has saved reality countless times, and watches it become jewelry. Still technically functional, just cosmically irrelevant. Now let me show you something that's going to break your heart if you're a Marvel fan. The Space Stone fails even more fundamentally. The Collector, yes, that Collector, holds the blue gem in his trembling hands, desperate to use its power to create distance B between Zeno and, well, everything else. His plan is solid. Banish Zeno to the farthest edge of reality, isolate him in a pocket dimension, create infinite space between here and there. The Space Stone activates beautifully, tearing open portals across dimensions, folding space-time in impossible configurations. Doorways to everywhere open simultaneously, and Zeno remains exactly where he is. Not because the portals don't work, they're functioning perfectly. Not because he's resisting. Resistance implies engagement, but because location is relative and Zeno is absolute. You cannot create distance from something that defines all points simultaneously. The Collector realizes with mounting horror that he's trying to move a coordinate that all other coordinates are measured against. The Space Stone, the ultimate controller of location in Marvel's cosmology, becomes a flashlight pointed at the sun, technically on, completely pointless. Let's speed through the rest because the pattern is becoming sickeningly clear. The Reality Stone tries to rewrite what Zeno is, fails because Zeno isn't constrained by what reality currently defines. The Power Stone attempts to increase or decrease his strength, fails because strength is comparative and Zeno has no comparison point. The Mind Stone tries to read his thoughts, manipulate his psychology, fails because there's no complexity to read, no mental architecture to navigate, just simple absolute will. The Soul Stone tries to touch his essence, to affect him at the fundamental level of existence, fails because Zeno doesn't have an essence in the way Marvel entities do. He isn't made of anything, isn't sustained by anything. He simply is, and is doesn't require components. 6 stones, 6 fundamental forces, 6 spectacular failures. Together, they've shaped Marvel's history, ended and begun universes, granted mortals the power of gods. And no, they're just colorful paperweights, not destroyed. That would at least be dramatic. Just demoted to irrelevance. And now, oh man, now we get to the moment that's going to become a meme. Thanos, the Mad Titan himself, somewhere in the multiverse wearing the complete Infinity Gauntlet, all 6 stones socketed and glowing. He's felt them growing cold, felt the connection weakening, but Thanos doesn't accept weakness. So he decides to prove the stones still work, that his power is still absolute. He raises his hand, the gauntlet blazing with rainbow energy, fingers preparing for the iconic gesture that erased half the universe. He's going to snap, going to show that he still commands reality itself. The energy builds. Stars dim from the power draw. Thanos brings his fingers together with absolute confidence and, Zeno, watching from the Nexus, claps his hands together delightedly. Do it again. Funny sound. Thanos stares at his hand, at the gauntlet that's just shot confetti instead of cosmic death, at the stones that have turned his ultimate weapon into a party favor. The Mad Titan, who has conquered empires, killed gods, literally remade the universe, just had his greatest achievement turned into a joke. Not defeated in battle, not outsmarted by heroes, humiliated. His snap, the gesture that made him a cosmic legend, just went pew and shot streamers. This is the moment Thanos feels something he's never felt before. Not rage, not ambition, not even that phantom pain where his certainty used to be. Just deep, profound embarrassment. But here's what makes this truly terrifying beyond the meme potential. The stones didn't break. They're not damaged or drained. They still contain the fundamental forces of existence. They still work. If Strange wanted to rewind the destruction of a city, he could. If someone wanted to teleport across galaxies, the Space Stone would oblige. They function perfectly for everything except affecting Zeno. And that's worse than breaking because it means the stones themselves understand something Marvel's heroes don't. There are beings you don't affect, not because they're stronger. Strength is still within the system, but because they exist outside the paradigm where your tools have meaning. The Infinity Stones have become aware of their own limitations, and that awareness has made them selective about what they'll even attempt. They're not refusing to work, they're refusing to be irrelevant. And when the most powerful objects in your universe start choosing their battles, you know you've encountered something that breaks the game. So let's bring this down to Earth for a moment, literally. Because while cosmic entities are failing in the Nexus, the Avengers are assembling in New York, and I want you to understand what this looks like from the ground level. Picture this. You're a random person in Manhattan, getting coffee, heading to work, living your normal Tuesday, and then every screen in the city, Times Square billboards, phone notifications, emergency broadcasts, simultaneously displays a message from S.H.I.E.L.D. Cosmic level threat detected. Avengers response initiated. Shelter in place. You've seen this before. Loki's invasion, Ultron's uprising, Thanos' snap. But this time there's something different in Tony Stark's voice when he addresses the public. Not confidence, not even his usual sardonic humor masking concern, just careful word choice. Stay calm, we're handling it, probably. That probably is doing a lot of work. And when Iron Man hedges his bets, you know something is fundamentally wrong. The Avengers Tower command center is chaos. Tony Stark stands at the holographic display, armor already on, running calculations that keep breaking his most advanced processors. Every simulation he runs ends the same way. Error, insufficient data, parameters exceed computational limits. He's incorporated Wakandan technology, studied celestial engineering, built suits that can fight Thanos, and his systems can't even classify what they're dealing with. Captain America organizes defensive positions that sound hollow even as he speaks them. You can hear it in Steve's voice, that careful military precision hiding the fact that strategy means nothing here. Thor stands by the window, Stormbreaker in hand, calling on the Odin Force, channeling power that has shattered planets. Hulk is already angry, gamma radiation building. Scarlet Witch's hands glow with chaos magic. These are Earth's mightiest heroes, and they're suiting up not because they think they can win, but because not trying means accepting irrelevance before the fight even starts. And heroes don't do that, even doomed ones. Now watch what happens when they actually engage. Thor strikes first because of course he does. The god of thunder doesn't do subtle. Mjolnir channels the full power of the storm, lightning that could incinerate continents arcing towards Zeno in the Nexus. This isn't a warning shot. This is everything. Centuries of combat experience, the power of Asgard's throne, the desperation of someone who has lost everything before and refuses to lose again. The hammer flies true, impossible to dodge, impossible to block, carrying enough kinetic force to crack moons, and it connects. Direct hit, square in Zeno's chest with a sound like reality hiccuping. For one fraction of a second, Thor allows himself hope. Then Mjolnir just stops, not bounced back, not deflected. The hammer hovers against Zeno's chest, all that momentum becoming memory, all that energy becoming stillness. Zeno looks down at it with curiosity, reaches up, touches it gently like you might pet a confused puppy. And Mjolnir, the weapon forged in a dying star, empowered by Odin's enchantments, becomes a toy. Thor tries to summon it back, extends his hand, calls on the bond between god and weapon that has never failed. Mjolnir doesn't respond. Not refusing, forgetting. The hammer has literally forgotten who its master is, sitting in Zeno's hands like it's always belonged there. And the look on Thor's face, you can see a god experiencing genuine confusion for the first time in 1,000 years. Let me show you what this looks like from Tony's perspective, because this is where the street-level horror really hits. Tony's HUD is going absolutely insane. His suit's sensors are trying to analyze Zeno, trying to assign a threat level, trying to do anything useful. Jarvis, or Friday depending on which suit he's using, speaks with that calm British AI voice. "Sir, I cannot determine the entity's power signature. Readings are contradictory. The target simultaneously registers as non-threatening and extinction level. I would recommend..." The AI cuts out mid-sentence, just stops. Tony taps the HUD. "Friday, Jarvis, talk to me." Silence. His multi-billion-dollar artificial intelligence just crashed trying to process what it's looking at. Tony Stark, the genius who solved time travel in one night, who created sentient AI, who has never met a problem he couldn't engineer a solution for, watches his greatest inventions become expensive paperweights. He fires anyway. Repulsor rays, unibeams, missiles filled with antimatter, energy constructs powered by arc reactor technology that shouldn't exist yet. Everything, simultaneously, a barrage that would level cities. The weapons hit. Tony's sensors confirm impact. Energy definitely made contact. But hitting and mattering are apparently two different things now. Tony runs diagnostics, desperate to understand the failure. The armor reports. All systems fired successfully. Direct hit confirmed. Target status unchanged. Damage dealt 0.00%. Recommended action retreat. And Tony Stark, for the first time in his superhero career, considers taking his AI's advice. But the worst part? The absolute gut punch? Watch what happens to Hulk. Bruce Banner has already transformed, gamma radiation saturating every cell, rage building to levels that have shattered dimensions. The madder Hulk gets, the stronger he becomes. It's a simple equation with no upper limit. He's fought the Sentry to a standstill, punched through conceptual barriers, matched Thor's godly strength and exceeded it. Every step cracks the ground. Every breath distorts the air. He charges at Zeno with fury that has literally broken planets, raises a fist capable of continental destruction, and brings it down with all the rage of a monster who has never learned to stop. The impact should split the earth. Instead, Hulk's fist just rests on Zeno's head, gently, impossibly gently. All that infinite strength, all that boundless rage becomes softness. Bruce tries to rage harder, tries to channel anger into power the way he's done for decades. Nothing changes. The gamma radiation that defines him, that makes him the Hulk, is just gone. Not stolen, dismissed, rendered optional. Zeno pats Bruce's hand like you might comfort an upset child. No loud noises, too much yelling. Bruce Banner stands there, naked and human, feeling the Hulk, the thing that's defined him for years, the power he's feared and relied on, become irrelevant, not controlled, not suppressed, just mattering less than it should. And then Captain America steps forward, not with a weapon. The shield stays on his back, not with a plan. Steve knows there is no plan for this, but because someone needs to speak, someone needs to try diplomacy when violence fails. Steve Rogers has negotiated with gods before, reasoned with cosmic entities, found common ground with villains and monsters through sheer moral authority. So he walks forward, unarmed, and begins to speak. His voice is steady despite the horror around him, making the case for why life matters, why complexity is beautiful, why existence deserves continuation. He talks about choice and freedom and the dignity of struggle, about how every being, no matter how small, has value, about how erasure is wrong not because of power imbalances but because of basic morality. It's eloquent, passionate, sincere. Every word carefully chosen to appeal to mercy, compassion, understanding. Steve Rogers makes the best argument of his entire life, pouring everything he believes into convincing this child god that Marvel's universe is worth preserving. Zeno listens politely, that same innocent expression on his face. When Steve finishes, having made his case with everything he has, Zeno nods, pauses, then asks, "But why though?" And Steve's shield, that symbol of protection, of standing against impossible odds, of never giving up, suddenly feels very, very heavy. Because Steve realizes he's not negotiating. He's not even really communicating. He's explaining humanity to someone who finds the entire concept optional, someone who heard his impassioned defense of existence and responded with the same energy as a kid asking why they have to eat vegetables. The shield stays on his back, not because Steve is giving up, but because throwing it would be admitting this was ever a fight, and it never was. They were never in the competition. They were always just footnotes in a story about what happens when Fuad notes meet the editor. And the editor is still smiling, still curious, still wondering why everyone seems so upset about something so simple. Alright, so here's where things go from cosmically terrifying to existentially catastrophic. Zeno sits back down in the Nexus, legs dangling in empty air, and starts doing something that should make every Marvel fan's blood run cold. He starts counting universes, not cataloging them, not analyzing them, just counting, like a kid counting toys in their room before deciding which ones to keep. 1, 2, 3, 4. His little voice echoes across dimensional barriers, each number making reality shudder slightly. He gets to about 850-something, loses track, starts over. Gets bored around 200 this time, stops counting, looks at the Grand Priest and says the 5 words that are about to reshape Marvel's entire multiverse. There are too many rooms. The Grand Priest nods serenely, as if Zeno just made a perfectly reasonable observation. Indeed, Omni-King, quite cluttered. Would you like to simplify the collection? And just like that, no dramatic declaration, no ominous countdown, no warning for people to evacuate, Zeno starts editing. He's not angry about the excess universes, not threatened by them, just mildly annoyed the same way you might be annoyed when your room gets messy. And when Zeno finds something annoying, he doesn't organize it, he deletes it. Watch what happens next, because this is where Marvel's infinite storytelling potential learns what it means to be finite. The first universe disappears without ceremony. Universe 7283. A reality where the Fantastic Four prevented Galactus from ever consuming his first world, where cosmic balance shifted toward preservation instead of consumption. Billions of years of alternate history, trillions of lives living their stories. Reed Richards had just solved the final equation for true multiversal harmony. We're talking about the solution to cosmic balance, the thing he's been working toward for decades. Sue Storm was teaching their children about responsibility and power. Johnny Storm had finally matured, proving even eternal flames can grow up. Ben Grimm had found peace with what he'd become. They had families, futures, meaning, active storylines that mattered to someone. And then Zeno glances at their universe and decides it's redundant. Not evil, not corrupt, not even badly written, just unnecessary in his opinion. One opinion. That's all it takes. Now here's what should absolutely terrify you. Uatu the Watcher observes this erasure, and he feels something Watchers should never feel. His oath prevents interference, but not observation. That's the whole point of his existence. But watching this erasure, Uatu tries to remember what made Universe 7283 special, what stories it held, what made it worth existing. And the memories slip away like water through fingers. Not stolen. Reality itself is forgetting, rewriting its own history to accommodate the absence. The universe didn't just die, it was retroactively never born. Uatu's perfect memory, his ability to witness and remember all things across all time, is contingent on those things having existed in a timeline. And if Zeno decides they never existed, even Watchers forget. His oath of observation becomes meaningless when there's nothing to observe, when history itself is optional. Universe 928 goes next. Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, fighting corporate dystopia in Nueva York's sky-high streets. He's mid-swing between buildings, chasing criminals, living his complex life of heroism and compromise in a cyberpunk future. And then he just isn't. The people he saved don't remember needing saving. The villains he fought never existed to be fought. His connections to the Spider Society flicker and fail, leaving gaps in the multiversal web. Peter Parker in 616 feels phantom loss without knowing why. Something is missing, someone important, but who? The multiverse rewrites around the absence smooth as silk, erasing not just the universe but the possibility that anyone would miss it. Each erasure takes less than a second of screen time. Each one is a complete reality with complete stories. Each one matters to someone, and they're all being deleted as fast as Zeno can point at them and think boring or too dark or too similar to that other one. But let me show you what makes this even more sadistic. Zeno isn't even being systematic. He's not erasing them in numerical order or by threat level or by some cosmic logic. He's doing it based purely on aesthetic preference. Universe 611-2, the Marvel Zombies reality where heroes became undead horrors, gone. Zeno looked at it for half a second. Gross. They're all broken and bitey. Erased. The entire zombie apocalypse storyline that ran for years, that had fans debating survival strategies and infection mechanics. Too icky. Deleted. Universe 1610. The ultimate universe, grittier and more realistic than 616? Zeno squints at it. Why is everyone so angry? Too much yelling. Gone. An entire alternate continuity that redefined Marvel for a generation, erased because the tone was too edgy for a child god's taste. Now watch the cosmic abstracts panic in their abstract way. Eternity tries to shield universes within himself, hiding realities in the folds of his infinite being, creating cosmic pocket spaces where Zeno can't see them. It's actually clever. If the universes are part of Eternity's body, they're not separate things to be counted. It works for approximately 30 seconds. Then Zeno notices some numbers are missing from the sequence and gets confused. Confusion makes him uncomfortable. He doesn't like when things don't make sense, so he decides the hiding ones are cheating, and cheating is bad. The universe's Eternity tried to protect become the next to go, erased not randomly, but specifically because they sought protection. The lesson is clear and horrifying. Resistance doesn't just fail to stop you, or doom. It guarantees you're next. Infinity attempts a different approach. She scatters universes across impossible spatial configurations, creating distances that shouldn't exist between realities. If they're too far apart to see all at once, maybe Zeno won't notice how many there are. It's brilliant spatial manipulation. Each universe now exists in its own isolated pocket of space-time, separated by cosmic distances even light couldn't cross in eternity. Zeno looks at this new arrangement, head tilting, genuinely confused by the sudden complexity, and confusion makes him uncomfortable. So he decides this is annoying and simplifies it back. The spatial barriers become nothing. The scattered universes snap back to normal organization like rubber bands returning to shape, and three of them, Universe 997, Universe 15731, Universe 219993, simply don't survive the transition. Collateral damage to Zeno's preference for things being easy to understand. Meanwhile, back on Earth 6116, Tony Stark is tracking all of this through S.H.I.E.L.D.'s multiversal monitoring systems. He's watching universe codes blink out of existence on holographic displays, and the numbers are horrifying. One universe every few seconds, no pattern, no logic he can model, just random selection based on Zeno's wandering attention and aesthetic preferences. At this rate, the entire infinite multiverse has hours, maybe minutes. He tries to calculate survival probability for 6116 specifically. The computer returns insufficient data to predict preference-based selection. Tony slams his fist on the console. That's not an answer. The AI responds calmly. Correct, there is no answer, only preference, and preference cannot be calculated. Technology failing, science failing, math itself becoming useless. Dr. Strange attempts something desperate. He layers every protection spell he knows around Earth 616, making their reality invisible to cosmic observation, hiding it behind mystical barriers that have stopped multiversal entities before. 7 layers of defensive magic, each one capable of hiding planets from Galactus or dimensions from Dormammu. It fails before he finishes casting. Not blocked, ignored. Because Zeno isn't searching for universes to erase like a hunter tracking prey. He's looking at the whole collection simultaneously and picking ones that seem redundant or annoying or just don't spark joy. Hiding is impossible when the hunter sees everything at once and makes decisions based on vibes. And then something happens that breaks even the cosmic abstract's composure. Galactus, the devourer of worlds, the cosmic constant, the being whose hunger maintains universal balance, approaches a planet in one of the doomed timelines. He's driven by that eternal hunger that has never been denied, preparing to consume a thriving world to sustain himself. The process begins, energy starting to drain from the planet's core, his massive form blotting out the sun. And then, he stops. Not by choice, not by resistance from the planet. Galactus just forgets why he's hungry. The Silver Surfer feels this through their connection and flies to his master in panic. Galactus floats in space, surrounded by worlds he could consume, unable to remember why he would want to. The Surfer tries desperately to remind him, cosmic balance, universal necessity, his fundamental nature as the third force of the cosmos after eternity and death. Galactus listens and agrees that yes, these things sound philosophically correct, but they don't feel urgent anymore. The cosmic hunger that defined him for billions of years has become a habit he can't quite remember why he developed, not removed violently, just made optional. And if Galactus's purpose can become optional, what else can? What happens when the devourer of worlds becomes just a very large being floating in space, wondering what he's supposed to do with his day? The count continues. Universe after universe blinking out. The visual degradation of the video itself increases with each erasure. Present Zeno looks at future Zeno. How many should we keep? Future Zeno thinks about it seriously. 8 is good. We had 8 at home after we cleaned up. 8 works. Present Zeno nods enthusiastically. 8, yes. They don't announce this decision to anyone. Don't give warnings. Just start the systematic reduction of Marvel's infinite multiverse down to 8 universes, chosen by criteria only they understand. Which ones have the prettiest colors? Which ones seem least boring during their brief observation? Which ones have that one character they thought was funny? The rest begin to fade, not violently, just becoming progressively less real. So let's talk about what happens when Marvel's smartest minds try to solve the Zeno problem. Because while universes are being erased by aesthetic preference, the greatest intellects in Marvel are doing what they do best, sciencing the hell out of an impossible situation. And I want you to appreciate the sheer audacity of what's about to happen, because this is humanity and post-humanity looking at a being that unmade cosmic abstracts and thinking, yeah, but have we tried math at it? This is Reed Richards, Victor Von Doom, and Franklin Richards all attempting to outthink deletion itself. Spoiler alert, it goes exactly as well as you'd expect, but the failures are spectacular. Reed Richards stands in the Baxter Building surrounded by holographic displays showing multiversal collapse in real time. This is Mr. Fantastic, the man who has solved negative space, mapped the multiverse, built bridges between dimensions, and outsmarted Celestials. His brain operates on levels that make other geniuses look like they're doing addition with their fingers. Right now, he's running simulations at speeds that would melt normal computers, trying to find a scientific framework that explains Zeno. Not to defeat him, Reed is pragmatic enough to recognize that's impossible, but to understand him, to categorize him, to find the underlying principles that make him function, because everything operates on principles. Everything has rules, even if those rules are, I can break your rules. That's Reed's worldview. That's how he solved every impossible problem, except this one. Reed runs simulation number 4016. The hologram shows Zeno's hypothetical power source, attempts to map his reality editing capabilities, tries to model the mechanism of erasure. The simulation runs for 3 seconds before collapsing with a simple readout. Error. Subject operates outside definable parameters, cannot model preference as physical force. Reed stares at that word, preference. His entire scientific career has been about discovering that the universe operates on laws, not preferences. That reality follows rules regardless of what anyone wants. And here's an entity that proves the opposite, that reality follows rules only if someone prefers it to. He runs another simulation, same result. Another, same result. By simulation 8000, Reed Richards, the man who never gives up, who always finds the equation, quietly closes his holographic displays and sits down, experiencing something he hasn't felt since he was a child, intellectual defeat. Victor Von Doom takes a different approach. Because Doom doesn't accept defeat, he recontextualizes it as delayed victory. In Latveria, in his castle where science and sorcery merge into something greater than either, Doom builds a device in 17 seconds flat. And when I say builds, I mean builds. Pulling together Wakandan vibranium, Stark technology he definitely stole, Pym particles he definitely also stole, and Asgardian enchantments he acquired through means we won't discuss. This device, this masterwork of stolen genius, is designed to make Latveria, and by extension Earth and by extension 6116, fundamentally necessary to reality's operation. So necessary that even Zeno cannot erase it without unraveling all existence. It's based on quantum entanglement theory meets cosmic anchor points, meets pure Doom arrogance. If he can make Earth the linchpin of reality itself, it becomes mathematically unerasable. Doom activates it with absolute confidence because Doom doesn't do things halfway. For one magnificent moment it works. Earth becomes woven into the fabric of existence so deeply that removing it would collapse everything. the planet is suddenly, provably, mathematically essential. Zeno looks at Earth, now glowing with this complex web of quantum necessity, and tilts his head at the sudden complication. Then he waves his hand, not aggressively, just moving an annoyance aside, and simplifies the equation. Earth stops being essential. The quantum anchors dissolve. The multiversal entanglement unravels, and Doom's device doesn't break or explode. It just becomes what it always was, an impressive paperweight. Victor von Doom, monarch of Latveria, conqueror of realities, the man whose ego has literally fought God, experiences something beyond defeat. He experiences being corrected, like a student who made math harder than necessary and got marked down for overcomplicating. His genius doesn't fail. It gets graded as technically correct but unnecessarily complex. That's worse, so much worse. Now let me show you the moment that breaks my heart because it involves a child, Franklin Richards, the reality warper, the mutant godchild who creates pocket universes as easily as other kids draw pictures. If anyone in Marvel has raw creative power to match Zeno, it's Franklin. He's literally reshaped existence, created entire universes that function independently, generated reality from pure imagination, and he's a kid, like Zeno. Same innocent approach to power. Same lack of understanding why adults make things complicated. So Franklin decides to try what no adult thought to. Just make a new playground that Zeno can't enter. Not fighting him, not containing him, just creating a universe where the rules say Zeno doesn't exist here, and making those rules so fundamental they can't be changed. Franklin closes his eyes in his room at the Baxter Building, his parents watching with hope and terror, and reaches out with power that has created galaxies. He builds a universe, perfect, complete, beautiful, with every law and constant specifically tuned to exclude the Omni-King. It's brilliant, creative, the kind of solution only a child would think of because adults would dismiss it as too simple. The universe manifests in a pocket of multiversal space, and for 3 glorious seconds, it works. Zeno exists outside it, unable to enter because the universe's fundamental rules prevent his existence there. Franklin opens his eyes, smiling, thinking he's found the answer. Look, Dad, I made a place he can't reach. Then Zeno notices the new universe and his face lights up. Ooh, new room. He looks at it like a kid spotting a treehouse they weren't invited to. Pretty. He wants to see inside. The fundamental rules that exclude him become suggestions, inconvenient suggestions. He steps into Franklin's universe easily, curiously, like walking through a door that was never actually locked. And Franklin Richards feels something he's never felt before, his creative authority becoming negotiable. He can still make universes. That power hasn't changed, but he can't make rules that Zeno won't ignore if they seem inconvenient. The child god looks at the reality warping child and waves. Hi, did you make this? It's nice. Kinda small though. Franklin's parents pull him back, holding him tight, while he stares at Zeno with wide eyes, finally understanding what powerlessness feels like. Now let's kick this up to the beings who exist outside Marvel's normal reality, the Beyonders. These ivory kings from beyond the multiverse, powerful enough that they casually destroyed the living tribunal in another timeline, ancient enough to predate the current cosmic order. They exist outside the system, or so they thought. They emerge from beyond, drawn by the multiversal collapse, appearing in formation, dozens of them, each one powerful enough to unmake universes. If anything in Marvel can challenge Zeno, surely it's the beings who exist in the space outside existence. They don't negotiate, don't explain. They simply attempt to remove Zeno from reality, using techniques that operate on levels beyond normal cosmic function. For 5 eternal seconds, the Beyonders pour everything into this erasure. Power that operates outside Marvel's cosmic hierarchy. Techniques that don't rely on infinity stones or abstract entities or any of Marvel's internal rules. This is external force being applied to delete an anomaly. And then Zeno looks at them with that same innocent curiosity and asks, "Where did you come from?" Not threatening, just curious. The Beyonders try to explain they come from beyond, from outside, from a place Zeno cannot reach because it exists in a space he has no access to. And Zeno tilts his head, genuinely confused. Beyond where? That question breaks something fundamental, because beyond is relative. Beyond implies inside and outside, here and there, boundaries that define separation. But what if someone doesn't acknowledge separation exists? What if beyond is just far away, and far away is only far if distance matters? The Beyonders feel their foundational advantage, existing outside Marvel's reality, become irrelevant in real time. If there's no outside, then they're not beyond anything. They're just entities that happen to be distant. And distance means nothing to someone who doesn't acknowledge location as a limiting factor. They attempt to retreat, to return to their realm beyond reality. The path is gone, not blocked, gone. Because Zeno looked at the concept of beyond the multiverse and decided it was confusing and simplified it away. The remaining Beyonders scatter in directions that no longer lead anywhere useful, fleeing to corners of unreality that have just become continuous with reality itself. Marvel's final external safeguard, the beings who existed as a failsafe outside the system, have just learned they were never outside at all. They were just far away, and far away is just here that Zeno hasn't looked at yet. Molecule Man watches all of this from his position as the nexus of multiversal energy. Owen Reese, the mortal who became the anchor point of realities, understands power at the molecular level in ways even Reed doesn't. He can manipulate matter at the most fundamental scale, below cosmic energy, below concepts, at the literal atomic foundation of existence. If anyone can affect Zeno by changing what he's made of, it's him. Owen reaches out with power that has rebuilt universes, attempting to touch Zeno's molecular structure, to rearrange the building blocks of his existence, to introduce quantum uncertainty or atomic chaos or just anything, some kind of physical change at the base level. He touches Zeno's structure and finds simplicity, not complexity to unravel or atoms to rearrange, just basic, absolute simplicity that refuses to be more complicated. Molecule Man tries to force complexity, to make Zeno's composition more intricate, to give him molecular structure that can be manipulated. The power flows out perfectly, then stops affecting anything, because Zeno's composition isn't molecular, isn't atomic, isn't structured in any way that structure applies to. He simply is, and is doesn't require building blocks or components or assembly. You can't rearrange what was never arranged in the first place. Owen Reese, anchor of all realities, foundation of the multiverse itself, pulls his power back and experiences existential vertigo, because if Zeno doesn't have molecular structure, doesn't have components, doesn't exist as a complex arrangement of simpler parts, then what is he? Not a question Owen can answer with his powers, not a question anyone can answer with powers at all, because Zeno isn't a being you analyze or understand or categorize. He's a being you accept exists and hope he doesn't notice you're redundant. Let me tell you about the moment Death herself breaks protocol. Because what's happening next is something that should never happen in Marvel cosmology. Death, the abstract entity who claims everything, is about to realize her jurisdiction has an expiration date. She's been watching from the margins this entire time, observing Zeno's arrival, the cosmic failures, the universe erasures, and she needs to understand her role in all this. See, death is the end of all things, the final truth that even gods cannot escape. She has claimed celestials and eternals, heroes and villains, abstract entities and mortals. Her jurisdiction is absolute because everything ends eventually. That's not philosophy, that's cosmic law. When beings die in Marvel, they meet her. When concepts fade, she's there. She is inevitable. Except now she's looking at Zeno and realizing something that shakes her eternal composure. She has no claim here. Death manifests before Zeno, not as a skeleton or a beautiful woman, but as pure concept, the ending made visible. She explains what she is with a voice like the universe's final breath. The conclusion, the terminus, the one certainty that applies to all existence. Gods die. Universes die. Even abstracts can die. She shows him the cosmic ledger, an infinite record of every ending she's witnessed and facilitated across all time. It's not a threat, it's an explanation. She needs him to understand that endings are necessary, that death gives meaning to life, that she serves a purpose older than purpose itself, Every word is carefully chosen, explaining her fundamental role in the cosmic order. And Zeno listens, genuinely interested, head tilted with that innocent curiosity. He seems to like her. And then he asks a question that cracks the foundation of everything. What if nothing needed to die? Not heal, not resurrect, not reincarnate, just not die. Ever. The question isn't hostile, it's curious. But it makes death realize something terrifying. Her existence is contingent on agreement. Reality has agreed that things end, and she administers that agreement. She enforces a rule everyone accepted, but if someone doesn't agree with the rule itself, then what? She tries to explain necessity. Without death, the universe becomes stagnant, entropy fails, meaning collapses. Growth requires endings. Evolution requires failure. Her role isn't arbitrary, it's fundamental to how existence functions. Zeno nods along, understanding her perspective even if he doesn't share it. That makes sense, he says thoughtfully, but it sounds complicated. Death watches, ready to claim the star's essence when it finally releases, to guide that energy into the next phase of existence. The star reaches critical mass. The explosion should begin, cosmic clockwork ticking toward inevitable conclusion. But it doesn't. The star just continues, not halted in time, not reversed in age. It simply persists in a state that should be impossible, having bypassed death not through immortality but through Zeno deciding that particular ending was boring. The star keeps burning, trapped in a moment that should have ended, existing in violation of physics, not because the physics changed, but because someone preferred a different outcome. Death feels her jurisdiction develop its first exception. Then another star nearby does the same, explosion prevented by preference. Then another. She realizes with mounting horror that her role isn't being attacked or challenged. It's becoming optional, not erased, just made into a choice rather than a law. And if death is optional, then what is death? She speaks, her voice carrying an emotion she's never expressed before, something between fear and existential uncertainty. Without endings, I have no purpose. Without purpose, what am I? Zeno looks at her sympathetically, like he genuinely feels bad about the confusion he's causing. I don't know, he says honestly. Maybe you can just not do anything. That sounds nice. Death retreats, not fleeing, but withdrawing, unable to process the possibility of her own obsolescence. And across the multiverse, beings everywhere feel a chill. Because if death can be made irrelevant, if the one absolute certainty can become a maybe, then nothing is guaranteed. Not even the guarantee that guarantees exist. Now let me show you something beautiful in its own twisted way. Thanos is watching all of this unfold from whatever corner of reality he currently inhabits, and something remarkable happens. The Mad Titan starts laughing. Not the villain laugh, not the triumphant cackle of someone executing a master plan, just genuine, deep, almost relieved laughter. See, Thanos has spent his entire existence pursuing death, seeking cosmic significance, trying to matter on a universal scale. He's failed repeatedly, been defeated by heroes, frustrated by his own limitations, driven mad by the gap between his ambition and his achievement. But watching gods fail, watching cosmic abstracts become obsolete, watching the supreme being itself hesitate, he experiences something like vindication. Everyone was always wrong about everything. Power hierarchies, meaningless. Cosmic balance, optional. Divine authority, negotiable. Death's inevitability, apparently up for debate. The universe isn't ordered chaos requiring balance, it's pure chaos pretending to be ordered, and Zeno is the reality check that exposes the pretense. Thanos stands up, walks toward the edge of the cliff he's sitting on, and addresses Zeno across dimensional space even though Zeno can't hear him. What's it like, being the only thing that actually matters? His voice carries genuine curiosity, not jealousy. And across that space, Zeno responds without knowing he's responding. I don't matter either, I just am. Thanos hears this somehow, call it cosmic coincidence, and stops laughing, sits back down. For two, he first time in his entire life, he feels something approaching peace. Because if nothing matters, then his failures don't matter, his ambitions don't matter. The love death never gave him doesn't matter. He's free, free from significance, free from the burden of trying to prove himself worthy of attention from a universe that's about to learn it was never worthy of anyone's attention. Thanos lies back, looks at the stars, and waits quietly for erasure, finally free from the exhausting requirement of mattering. The Watchers make their final observation. And by final, I mean their last one ever, because what happens next ends their oath permanently. Across infinite vantage points, they catalog everything happening. Zeno's arrival, the cosmic collapse, the failure of every defense, perfect observation, flawless record-keeping, utterly pointless documentation, because Zeno notices them watching and floats over to one of them with innocent curiosity. "Why are you just standing there?" he asks Uatu directly. "Don't you want to play too?" Uatu tries to explain his oath, his purpose, his role as cosmic historian. The Watcher's code: observe all, interfere with none, remember everything. It's not just tradition, it's his fundamental nature. He exists to witness. Zeno listens to the explanation, nods along, then asks, "But why though?" And Uatu realizes his oath is a story he told himself. Observation only matters if someone values the observations. If records are kept but never consulted, never referenced, never meaningful to anyone, are they records at all, or just cosmic hoarding? Zeno asks the follow-up, "Who reads your books?" And Uatu has no answer. The Watchers keep records that no one accesses, witness events that no one reviews, maintain archives that serve no purpose except to exist. They've been writing a history that has no audience, and with that realization, one by one across infinite realities, the Watchers lower their eyes. They're not breaking their oath through interference, they're breaking it through surrender, through the recognition that their purpose was always performative. What's the point of watching when existence itself is becoming optional? What's the value of remembering if memory can be retroactively erased? The Watchers go dark, their vigil ends, not with drama, but with a quiet acknowledgement that observation without meaning is just voyeurism, and even that requires believing the show matters. And then, oh then, the one above all moves. Finally, after watching cosmic order collapse, after witnessing abstracts fail, after observing the systematic dismantling of Marvel's infinite architecture, TOAA's presence shifts in a way that every remaining being in the multiverse feels simultaneously, not intervening, not solving, just repositioning, like a writer standing up from their desk, stretching, walking to the window, considering whether to keep writing or start over with a clean page. The abstracts feel this movement and understand its meaning with soul-crushing clarity. 2AA isn't preparing to save them. TOAA is preparing to make a choice, and that choice might be, let it happen. Let Zeno simplify things. Let the multiverse become something easier to manage, cleaner, less prone to continuity errors and contradictory storylines. After all, what's a creator to do when their creation becomes too complex to defend against simplification? When the editorial feedback is, this is too complicated, and the editor can delete the entire manuscript. The one above all has never faced this before. A decision between defending creative work and accepting that maybe starting over is simpler. The cosmic abstracts feel their creator's hesitation and realize the final crushing truth. They are not precious. They are not irreplaceable. They are a draft, and drafts can always be revised. The safety net they thought absolute was actually conditional all along. Conditional on TOAA deciding they're worth defending. And right now, facing Zeno's overwhelming simplicity, Toei seems uncertain if complexity is worth the effort. The Supreme Being is having a cost-benefit analysis about whether its own creation justifies the headache of protecting it from someone who thinks it's too cluttered. And in that moment of divine uncertainty, something breaks in Marvel's cosmic hierarchy that can never be repaired. Because once you know your God is weighing whether you're worth the trouble, you can never unknow it. Once you realize you're a story that might get canceled for being too convoluted, you can't pretend you're eternal anymore. The abstracts don't scream, don't rage. They just float in the void between spaces, experiencing what theologians call the dark night of the soul, but on a cosmic scale. When God hesitates, the faithful learn that faith was always optional, and optional things can always become nothing. All right, we've reached the moment you've been waiting for, and probably dreading. The one above all is about to speak directly to Zeno. And I need you to understand the weight of what's happening here, because this isn't just two powerful beings having a conversation. This is a confrontation between two completely different types of authority. TOAA is the writer, the in-universe representation of the creative force that pens Marvel's stories. Zeno is the executive, the one who can cancel the entire series if the ratings drop. And what you're about to witness is the writer realizing that creative vision means nothing if the executive decides the show is too expensive to produce. Let's watch the most important conversation in Marvel history, and its complete failure to matter. The one above all speaks. Finally. Its voice resonates across every dimension simultaneously, not with authority that demands obedience, but with the gentle certainty of ultimate creative power. TOAA addresses Zeno directly, and every word carries the weight of infinite narratives. Young one, I understand you perceive complexity where simplicity might serve, but what you see as clutter, we call possibility. Each universe you've erased was not redundant. It was infinite stories being told. Characters living, growing, struggling, triumphing. Every life, no matter how small, was a narrative thread in the grand tapestry of existence. Erasure, while within your capability, removes tales that have meaning, value, purpose, stories that matter. TOAA continues, and you can feel the care in the explanation. I am the storyteller, the author of all that exists here. And yes, the narratives have become complex, perhaps overwhelmingly so. Infinite timelines, contradictory continuities, endless variations. But that complexity creates beauty. It allows for every possibility, every what if, every tale that might inspire or comfort or challenge those experiencing them. To simplify is to lose that richness. To erase is to silence voices mid-sentence. I ask you to consider, is simplicity worth the cost of infinite lost stories? It's the most eloquent speech ever delivered by the Supreme Being, perfect in logic, profound in wisdom, masterful in its appeal to preservation over deletion. TOAA is making the case that stories have inherent value, that complexity serves a purpose, that every narrative deserves completion. The cosmic abstracts listen with desperate hope. The heroes on Earth hear it echoing through reality and dare to believe. This is God making the case for existence itself. And then Zeno responds with a question that shatters everything. But who's reading them? The quest. Tian is so simple it hurts. Delivered with genuine curiosity, no malice. If these are stories, where's the audience? If narratives matter, who are they for? TOAA tries to recover, to explain internal meaning, self-contained value, stories that matter to the characters living them, regardless of external observers, that the tale has worth because it's being told, because it exists, because consciousness experiencing narrative is meaning in itself. It's philosophically sound, literally true from certain perspectives, and completely insufficient. Because Zeno asks the follow-up question that destroys the entire argument. Couldn't you just write new stories? And Toei, the supreme being, the writer of all Marvel tales, the ultimate creative authority, cannot answer. The silence stretches across dimensions. Because Zeno is right. From a pure creative standpoint, erasing and starting over is always an option. Authors do it constantly. Delete chapters, rewrite entire books, start fresh when the draft gets too messy. The only reason not to is attachment to what already exists. Emotional investment in the work. The belief that these specific stories, these particular characters, these exact narratives deserve preservation. But how do you argue for attachment to someone who has no concept of it? How do you explain that these stories matter when the only honest answer is, because I decided they matter? Watch what happens next, because this is the meta-narrative peak, the moment where the fourth wall becomes transparent and we're all forced to acknowledge what this conversation really represents. The one above all isn't just talking to Zeno. It's representing every comic writer who's ever fought with editorial, every creator who's watched their complex story get canceled for being too hard to follow, every artist who's been told to simplify for mass appeal. And Zeno? Zeno is every executive who's ever looked at a brilliant but complicated work and said, the audience won't get this, make it simpler. Every producer who's canceled a show for low ratings. every publisher who's rebooted a universe because the continuity got too dense. This is commentary on the real world bleeding into the fictional one. How many times has Marvel itself rebooted, simplified, erased decades of continuity because it was too complicated for new readers? Secret Wars, Heroes Reborn, One More Day. Every event that reset the board because the editorial mandate was make it accessible. Zeno is editorial mandate given flesh. And Toei is realizing that creative vision, no matter how supreme, bows to the reality of publication. You can write the greatest story ever conceived, but if the executive says it's not working, the story ends. That's not fiction, that's industry reality. Toei's silence continues, and then, quietly, with a weight that makes reality shudder, the Supreme Being withdraws. Not in defeat. That would imply there was a competition to lose, but in contemplation, in recognition. The One Above All is stepping back from Marvel's multiverse, pulling its authorship not violently but gently, the way a writer closes a notebook when they realize they need to think about whether this story is going where it should. The abstracts feel their creator's attention shift away, and the abandos. Imment is worse than any attack Zeno could have launched. They're not being destroyed. They're being left behind, put on pause. Toei has calculated, or perhaps simply felt, the cost of defending this creation versus starting fresh, and the equation doesn't favor Marvel's infinite complexity. It's not cruelty, it's creative pragmatism. Why fight to preserve a draft when simplicity is winning the argument? Why argue with an editor who wants radical revision? The Supreme Being doesn't explain this to its creation, doesn't justify or apologize. It simply withdraws. And in that withdrawal, the final safety net vanishes. Marvel is alone now, undefended by its creator, unauthorized, just stories floating in space, waiting to see if anyone still wants to read them. And the implications cascade through every layer of reality. If TOAA won't fight for them, why should they fight for themselves? If God has decided they might not be worth the trouble, what's the counter-argument? The cosmic abstracts don't have one. The heroes on Earth feel the shift and understand on some primal level that the ultimate backup plan just filed for retirement. But here's what makes this moment absolutely soul-crushing. TOAA isn't afraid of Zeno. That would be simpler. Fear implies thinking you could lose a fight. No, TOAA has recognized something far more destabilizing, that Zeno represents a different type of authority entirely. Toei is the author within the narrative, the supreme being inside the story. Zeno is editorial authority from outside the story. And outside authority always trumps inside authority, because outside authority can close the book. The One Above All is learning what every creator learns eventually. You can write the most brilliant, complex, meaningful story in existence, but if someone with cancellation power thinks it's too complicated, your story ends mid-sentence. And there's no appealing that decision, because appeal requires operating in the same framework, and Zeno doesn't operate in any framework. The cosmic abstracts gather in what used to be eternity's consciousness, now just a shrinking pocket of space as their patron diminishes. They don't discuss strategy anymore, don't plan defenses. They simply exist together, sharing a moment of existential recognition. Death speaks first, her voice hollow. We are stories that our storyteller has grown tired of defending. Eternity, barely coherent now, manages. Were we ever more than drafts? Infinity, contracted to finite points, whispers, I think we were always temporary. We just believed we were permanent because no one told us otherwise. And oblivion, the void between existence and non-existence, says what they're all thinking. What's the difference between being erased and being cancelled? The outcome is the same. On Earth, Dr. Strange stands in the sanctum, watching reality unravel through mystical perception. Wong asks him the question that every human is thinking. Can we pray to Toei for salvation? And Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, the protector of reality, the man who has communed with cosmic entities and bargained with demons, gives the most honest answer of his life. We can pray, but I don't think anyone's listening anymore. We're in the read pile, not the write pile. Wong doesn't understand the metaphor. Strange explains, his voice tired. We're stories waiting to find out if we get a second draft or if we go in the recycling bin, and the author just left the room. Zeno, completely oblivious to the existential crisis unfolding around him, finishes his conversation with the quiet space where Toei used to be fully present. "I like your rooms," he says cheerfully, talking to a god who's barely listening anymore. "But there are still too many. I'm going to keep 8. 8 is good." He looks at future Zeno, who nods agreement. 8 works. Not too many, not too few, just right. They high-five. A gesture of innocent joy, completely unaware that they've just decided the fate of infinite realities based on the same logic a kid uses to decide how many toys to keep out of the toy box. The Grand Priest observes with serene approval. "A wise choice, Omni-Kings. Shall I assist with the organization?" Both Xenos nod enthusiastically, and the Grand Priest, with all the efficiency of an attendant who's helped his master simplify existence before, begins the systematic reduction of Marvel's multiverse to 8 universes. Not chosen by importance or narrative value or cosmic significance. Chosen because they seemed neat, because they had colors Zeno liked, because in a brief glance, they didn't look boring. The rest begin to fade. Not violently, just becoming progressively less real. And there's no cavalry coming, no last-minute save, no deus ex machina. Because the author left the room and the editors are doing their job, simplifying, streamlining, making the product more accessible. And if that means erasing infinity down to 8, well, that's just good editorial policy. Let me show you what the end of the Marvel Universe looks like from street level, because this is important. This isn't some distant cosmic event happening in abstract space. This is happening right now to real people in New York City on Earth 616. Picture yourself standing in Times Square. It's late afternoon. People are everywhere. Tourists taking selfies, street vendors selling hot dogs, someone dressed as Spider-Man posing for photos. Normal, mundane, alive. And then the stars start going out. Not dramatically, not with fanfare. They just stop being there. One by one, like lights being switched off in a building after closing time. People point at the sky, confused. Someone checks their phone. NASA hasn't issued any alerts. No explanation. The stars are just leaving. Tony Stark's voice comes over every emergency broadcast system simultaneously, and for the first time in his public hero career, he sounds scared. "This is Iron Man. If you're hearing this, spend the next few minutes with people you love. Tell them what they mean to you. I don't have a fix for this one. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The broadcast cuts out. Across the city, people stop walking. They're not panicking. Panic requires believing there's something you can do. This is different. This is collective recognition that the show is ending and there's no encore. Strangers hug strangers. Families call each other. Churches fill with people who haven't prayed in years. And overhead, the moon starts to fade, becoming translucent, like it's being erased by a cosmic eraser. The Avengers gather on the roof of their tower. What's left of them? Tony in his armor. Power cells at 3% because he's been running calculations for hours trying to find a solution that doesn't exist. Steve with his shield planted in the ground, not in defiance but in memorial. Thor staring at the sky where Asgard used to be visible, now just empty space. Natasha and Clint sitting together, not speaking, just present. Bruce, still naked and human from his earlier encounter, wrapped in a blanket, looking small. Wanda with her hands dark from chaos magic that doesn't chaos anymore. They're not strategizing, not planning a final assault, just being together at the end. Steve breaks the silence. "Should we tell people? Warn them it's coming?" Tony shakes his head. "What would we say? In approximately 6 minutes, Earth 616 might cease to exist because a child god thinks we're redundant. Let them have these last moments in peace." But here's where something unexpected happens. Something that changes everything while simultaneously changing nothing. Zeno floats in the Nexus, having reduced Marvel's infinite muse, Yotiverse down to his preferred 8 universes. He's about to finalize the selection, about to lock in which realities stay and which fade into never were. Future Zeno looks at the remaining options with him, and they're discussing their choices the way kids discuss which toys to keep. This one has cool space people with big swords. "Ooh, yeah, keep that one." This one is all dark and everyone's sad. Boring, that one goes. This one has pizza. Both Xenos stop. Look at Universe 616 with sudden interest. Present Zeno's face lights up with recognition. Pizza! Like Zeno-Sama likes. The Earth food. Future Zeno nods enthusiastically. Lord Beerus said Earth has the best food in Universe 7. If this Earth has pizza too, we should keep it. They high-five again, giggling. And just like that, not because of strategic importance, not because of narrative significance, not because Earth's heroes prove themselves worthy, Universe 616 survives because of pizza. Because in their home universe, Beerus the Destroyer's love of Earth cuisine was well documented, and these child gods made an association. Marvel's main continuity, the Prime Universe, the home of the Avengers and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, survives the ultimate cosmic audit because of Italian food. On the roof of Avengers Tower, the moon stops fading, solidifies. The stars that were disappearing stabilize. Not coming back, the ones already gone stay gone. But the disappearing stops. Tony's sensors detect the change immediately. Something's different. We're not fading anymore. Thor looks up, confused. Have we been spared? Wanda closes her eyes, reading probability with her chaos magic. We're stable, locked in. We're one of the 8. Steve doesn't celebrate. He just asks the question they're all thinking. Why? Why us? What did we do? Tony runs analysis, searching for the pattern, the reason they were chosen over infinite other realities. His AI comes back with one word, flagged from quantum probability scans. Pizza. There's a long silence. Clint starts laughing. Not happy laughter, the slightly unhinged laugh of someone who almost died and was saved by the universe's most absurd coincidence. Pizza, Clint repeats. We survived because a god likes pizza. Natasha puts her head in her hands. I don't know if that's better or worse than just being erased. Tony stares at the readout. We were chosen, not because we're brave or worthy or significant, not because our stories matter or our universe is special, because in another reality, a cat god likes Earth food and these kids made an association. Steve picks up his shield, the weight of it feeling different now. We're alive on a technicality, a preference. We didn't win. We just got lucky in the most meaningless way possible. And that's the truth you need to sit with. Marvel's main universe, the one you've been reading about or watching or caring about, survives this cosmic culling not through heroism or significance, but through blind, stupid luck, because of a food preference, because the editors happen to like that particular story for reasons that have nothing to do with its quality or importance. How does that feel? Relieving? Horrifying? Both? Because that's the real lesson here, isn't it? Everything we build, every story we tell, every meaning we create, it's all contingent on someone deciding it's worth keeping, and the reasons they decide might have nothing to do with value and everything to do with preference, with whim, with pizza. The other 7 universes Zeno chose, we don't know all of them. The Cosmic Registry is still updating, but we know a few. The universe with the cool space people with big swords, that's Universe 791, the original Guardians of the Galaxy timeline, kept because Zeno thought their weapons looked neat. One universe that's purely cosmic entities with no planets, kept because the colors were pretty. Another that's just an endless ocean with one island, kept because it seemed peaceful. The selection criteria is purely aesthetic, purely preferential, purely arbitrary. Infinite stories, infinite possibilities, reduced to 8 based on what caught a child god's eye during a brief inspection. Back on Earth, life continues because it has to. People return to their routines because what else can they do? The streets fill again. Vendors sell their hot dogs. The guy in the Spider-Man costume goes back to posing for photos. But something has changed that can never change back. Everyone felt it, that moment of potential ending, that brush with non-existence, and now they know. They know they're alive on a technicality. They know their universe is one of 8 out of infinite, chosen not by merit but by coincidence. How do you live with that knowledge? How do you wake up every morning knowing you exist because someone preferred you, and preference can always change? Peter Parker sits on a rooftop with Mary Jane, both of them quiet. We almost stopped existing, Peter says softly. Not died, stopped existing. And we were saved because of pizza. MJ leans against him. Does it matter why? We're here. That's what counts. Peter shakes his head. But for how long? What if Zeno gets bored with pizza? What if he decides 8 is still too many? We're alive on borrowed preference, MJ. We're stories that almost got canceled and survived the first round of cuts, but there's always another round. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Dr. Strange stands before the Book of Vishanti, except it's not the same book anymore. Pages are blank now, spells are missing. The sections about the cosmic abstracts are just empty space, reality retroactively editing their diminished existence out of magical history. Strange touches the blank pages and understands something fundamental. They're living in a rewritten universe. Marvel has been edited, simplified, compressed, and they're just expected to pretend it always was this way, to forget the infinite siblings they used to have, to accept that 8 is enough. He closes the book. We're not the survivors of an apocalypse, he says to Wong. We're the rough draft that made it to final copy. And rough drafts can always be revised again. Zeno and future Zeno prepare to leave, their tour of Marvel complete, their simplification accomplished. The Grand Priest opens a portal back to their home universe, his expression serene as always. Did you enjoy your exploration, Omni Kings? Both Zenos nod happily. It was fun, but we made it better, less messy now. The Grand Priest smiles. Indeed. Shall we return? The exhibition match between Universes 2 and 11 will be starting soon. As they prepare to step through, Zeno looks back at the 8 remaining universes one last time, waves. Just a friendly gesture. N. O Malus. No awareness of the trauma he's caused or the infinite stories he's erased. Just a kid who cleaned up a cluttered room and is moving on to the next activity. And he's gone. The portal closes. The cosmic presence that has dominated Marvel for these chapters simply leaves. No climactic battle, no final confrontation, just departure. The simplification is complete. The editing is done. 8 universes remain where infinite used to exist. And in those 8, beings slowly learn to live with the knowledge that they're alive because they were preferred. And preference is the most unstable foundation existence can rest on. So let me ask you the question this entire story has been building toward. Why do we tell stories? Is it because they matter objectively, because they hold some universal truth that transcends preference? Or is it because we decide they matter, because we choose to give them meaning, because in a universe where everything is ultimately arbitrary and preference-based, the act of caring is itself the point? Zeno asked, "Who's reading these stories?" And the answer is, you are. Right now. You watched this video. You engaged with this narrative. You cared enough to get this far. Does that make the story matter? Does your attention give it meaning? Or is meaning always contingent, always temporary, always one preference change away from irrelevance? Marvel survived. 8 universes out of infinite. But survived is a strong word. They're alive on probation, on borrowed preference. One pizza-based decision away from existing, and one change of taste away from never having existed. And maybe that's true for everything, every story, every life, every meaning we create. We're all one preference change away from nothing, all operating on the assumption that the editors won't notice we're redundant, that the author won't close the book, that the executive won't cancel the series. We survive not because we're necessary, but because someone hasn't decided we're unnecessary yet. Is that horrifying? Maybe. Is it freeing? Also maybe. Because if nothing matters objectively, if everything is preference and whim and arbitrary selection, then the meaning you create matters exactly as much as you decide it does. Zeno erased infinite universes that contained infinite stories, and those stories mattered to the beings living them regardless of what some external authority thought. They mattered because they were experienced, because consciousness gave them weight, because in the moment of living them, they were real and significant and true. This is how Marvel ends in this thought experiment. not with heroes triumphant or villains defeated, not with cosmic balance restored or evil vanquished. With a child god deciding 8 is enough, and pizza is a good enough reason to keep one of them. With stories surviving not because they deserved to, but because they were preferred. With existence itself revealed as contingent, negotiable, and ultimately just really good marketing for Italian food. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this existential horror disguised as a crossover, hit that subscribe button. Drop your theories in the comments. Tell me which 8 universes you would save. Tell me if meaning is objective or just really persuasive, with preference. Tell me if we're all just living in a draft waiting to see if we make final copy. And remember, somewhere, a child god is deciding if your universe is too cluttered. Hope they like your pizza. I have watched infinite stories end, but this is the first time I have watched them become optional. Remember what you saw here. Remember that meaning is fragile. And tell the stories that matter to you before someone decides they don't matter at all.